Greetings and welcome to Matrix Journey presentation 16. Can't believe we've already got to number 16 in the series already. I don't know about you, but I'm rather enjoying all this lockdown. It's rather peaceful. Public transport has become something of a personal taxi, so choice of 40 plus seats all to myself really, which is wonderful. There's a lot of positives to this, but this video I think is something I need to make to those that are in the that are asleep. This won't make sense, and I don't really care, to be honest. This is for those of you that are of the soul family, all my siblings out there, my soul brothers and soul sisters. We're all in this position, as you're all probably very familiar with, of being the odd ones out, the crazy ones within our families that the rest just don't get it at all. But that's how it is. What you got to remember is there is more than one type of human out there. There are the walking dead that have absolutely no light about them at all. They are the very lowest vibration that the demonic energy from the unseen world will use to try and trigger us. Then of course there are those that have the light. This whole situation at the moment is actually very good because it makes it so much easier to detect who has got light and who hasn't. You can see it in the actions of how people are. The very best and the very worst aspects of humanity are coming out in so many ways. But this is only a temporary phase. Remember that the dark side, as well as bringing about their own undoing. A prime example is the backlash over the 5G with local protests about they don't want the technology in their area. The not in my backyard mindset, which is hilarious really. We had all this as well with the schools and the 20-mile-an-hour speed restrictions for child safety, and then there was the backlash from the environmental groups about cars are having to brake and accelerate and it's causing problems to the environment. So it's the dark side that is sort of imploding in so many ways to this. It's actually quite funny to watch. This is basically a matrix, a simulation, and it's the malware, because that's a reverse. Mal is lamb, and you've got the E of energy, and the where is basically war or raw in reverse. So it's a war on your energy of the lamb, and let's face it, how many refer to these asleep ones as sheep? Well, they are lambs to the slaughter. But you've also got this problem with, especially if you're stuck in a household full of 3D people, you need to sort of start really asking yourself a question, and this is going to be a very uncomfortable question that you all need to ask yourselves individually. How much of it can you stand of your vibration being brought down? It comes to a point, and it's, as I've said before, this is very much about mind, body and soul, your own very own 3-in-1 right there. And it comes to a point where you have to let go, just as within the spiritual aspect, you have to let go of your 3D family. It's an emotional attachment in this physical realm, but you've it's going to pull you down. It's going to make you feel bad, and then if they are being used unknowingly to trigger you, then you're going to react through anger or feel very negative, which is just playing into the hands of this demonic entity, this control system. That's exactly what they do want to do. You've got this 5G thing going on as well, don't forget, being sneakily rolled out, which won't affect you if you stay in high vibration anyway. Yes, it is a very real problem, and it will be a very real problem for those that are in the low vibration 3D elements only. And just imagine now, if there's anybody listening to this that is in 3D, they would have no clue what I'm even talking about. But those of you that are will be listening because you have an understanding of what I'm talking about, and you have to ask yourself this very important question of how much are you allowed to be subjected to. Only you can decide at what point you say enough is enough. That is something we all have to do. I can talk from personal experience about this. Thank you, motorbike, for going past. I don't know if that picks up on the recording, but oh. And we have the revving engines, of course. That's probably a prime example. Actually, there you go. That's probably the demonic entity working through one of these biobots to try and trigger a reaction to me. It's like, yeah, I see you there, and I'm not affected by it. So there's not even any point getting angry about it. I can't change it. It's very much the inward journey with this spiritual path. It is being the tightrope walker in the circus on this circuit, and let's face it, there are plenty of clowns out there, and they're not funny at all, but we can laugh at them as well. There's always duality aspects to all of this, don't forget. I've thought long and hard the last few days really about how to word this in a positive way, and I just have to speak it and take from it what you will. I can't give you a one size fits all answer any more than when any of you are coming to me on Messenger, for example, and asking me for the finer detailed answers. I can't give that to you. You've all got different paths. You're all coming to this from different approaches. It's like being the waiter with the menu, and I can recommend ways. It's as much as the knowing myself as trying to know you as well, which does show in the energy. And if you're coming, say, for example, from the truth-seeking part, there is no point me sending you recommendations to channels that are more towards the spiritual side, because it won't make sense. I can give you pointers, and I will do that in a future video. In the interim, I would say just scroll back through the channel list and have a look at there was 2 videos I made recommending channels, and it's up to you what you take from that. But this is the thing with this menu. You can have tasters of everything. You haven't got to order an entire starter of just one course or a one main meal. And again, you are in control. If the video is 4 hours long, then digest it in small sections. It is mind food. It is the positive mind food, as opposed to the media version of this, which is trying to stuff you full of the equivalent of the fast food, the things that won't do you any good. The whole thing with this journey is asking questions. As king is the quest I am on. That applies to each and every one of you, whether you're in a male or a female body. It's all encoded in this etymology. The day we stop asking questions and we latch on to a specific thing, like a particular religion, for example, is going to mean that you're going to then try and wrap things around what you think you know, and It comes down to know everything is to know nothing, and I can't keep my head filled with all the answers. It does come down to inner knowing. You just feel when something is right. It's This is what I've said about the 360 senses. There's an example of feeling. It's not physical feeling with your hands. It is feeling with the soul and feeling with the mind with this one. And this is how these 360 senses are. It is like the tree roots, your tree of life within inside. They branch off from the five senses to the other 355. You'll notice as well the few essential shops that are remaining open are all playing music. It's like if I want to go to hear music, I'll hear music. I don't want your 440 gigahertz broadcasts that are changing the frequency. So I just ignore them, because why do I want to hear music if I'm going out to buy coffee? It's going to interrupt if I allow it, and I'll end up forgetting what I actually went out for, and then have to go back again. And we can't do that these days. Notice also as well with these pharmacies, you also have these snaking trails of people who are distancing themselves. It's not social distancing, it is anti-social distancing, because it is always reverse speech. Draining the swamp is referring to us, the ants, in Bug's life, the many ants that need to wake up to what is going on. We are all descend ants, we all are all particip ants, we are occup ants, and so on. It's all encoded in these words. I mean, the insurance as well, the ally ants is shown in that one. I'm already starting to go off on a tangent from what I was originally talking about here. But yes, it's very important to ask yourself, go within yourself, at what level of this 3D low vibration can you take? It's very hard when you have done at least some of the inner work to then think back to your own spiritual path and try and explain to someone who is coming from a position of purely 3D and still believing that their government is there to help them. In fact, I would say that a lot of people, if the government said, we'll give you a free donut if you go and stand on a cliff edge, would actually go and do it and fill a, like the Grand Canyon as a sort of landfill site of bodies. It's that ridiculous. When they say jump, most people will jump. Most people are comply ants, and they are at the very asleep level. It is really a case of everything that you are faced with, every facet of your life. Prime example, if you smoke, do your research into what's in those cigarette papers, what's in the tobacco. The 70 substances known to cause cancer, which they tell you in black and white on the tobacco packets. Then you've got the filters as well, another thing, and it's the same with everything. If you don't do that research and you look into everything and you look at the potential side effects and things on the physical body, well, that's up to you. But I would say with this, go with your gut feeling. The gut is the solar plexus, the place of the sun. That already knows the answers. All you have to do is unlock it from within yourself. Listen to your body, listen to your intuition, listen to your inner knowing. That is where you are really going to find all the answers. I can only offer guidance as best I can, but I think this is an important message that does need to be put out there. It's an uncomfortable truth, but everything with a spiritual path is not a pleasant journey. It is wading through the swamp. And these so-called gifts are also as much a curse. I'll give you an example of this. It's not just the ringing in the ears I get. I get this, it's almost like the heartbeat of Mother Earth. There's a few of you out there that I've had a warning of something 24 to 48 hours before it happens. One example of this was earthquakes and those California fires. And I did message individuals and say, look, there's a problem coming up. And I can't always tune in to the fine detail of exactly where it is or what it is even. But while we can communicate through this internet, then let's do so. Let's take advantage of it. Use this time, as Nicole Stella has said, to go out there and do your research and build up your inner standing. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is not intellect. It's two very different things. Knowledge is no ledge. It is this walking on this tightrope and having no fear of falling and becoming the fallen. So I think that's enough of a meal for the mind and the soul with this, and it's now a time to allow you to digest all that I've said and go from there. And I do wish you all the very best with this spiritual journey. It's not being unkind, it's not being cruel. It is from with the intention of love that I share this message. It's the best I can do. I wish I could do this in other ways. I wish I could do something more dramatic, like in the films, but that's Hollywood illusions, of course. But there is real magic. You will get gifts on the way when you reach certain points. This source will send them to you, and I have had plenty of experience of that, not least the time confirmations and number sequences with things I've said, and plenty more beside that. Anyway, I'll leave that video there and say ta-ta for now.